Welcome to the Bliss of Art. I'm Mary Boehme, owner of Master Artist Studios, and thank you so much for joining me this evening. My classes are daily, 3 o'clock and 6 p.m. Central Time, and I do invite you to attend. The 3 o'clock class is a beginner's class for like children, and the 6 p.m. class is for more advanced students and for adults as well. So sit back if you don't have the materials ready and just enjoy. And if you are ready, then we will get started. First of all, I would like to say that some of the supplies that we're using are things that you already have around your house. Markers, paints, colored pencils, crayons, sprinkles, glitters, whatever you have, spaghetti noodles. Use your imagination. And you can visit my website, marytoart.com. And there you'll find a list of supplies and the next project that we will be painting and our daily lesson plans. The paper that I'm using is plain old paper. This is printer paper. And in one of my videos, I explained how I started Sunflowers Project. I took this piece of white paper and I put it over my image, and I did it the old-fashioned way. You probably don't remember doing this, but when I was younger, we didn't have all those fancy supplies. You hang the picture on the window and then put the white piece of paper over and then simply trace. You don't have to buy any expensive equipment because the sun is free and you can use it anytime in any way. I also backed my paper with a cardboard to make it more durable and strong. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my scissors and I'm going to cut the paper, the extra cardboard out. And I used a simple glue. I just used a glue stick. Get them at the dollar store, 3 for $1, something very, very reasonable. And before we begin, I want to review some shapes because shapes are extremely important in art. I have this little book, and you can see I bought it at a garage sale because teachers are very frugal and we don't spend a lot of money on supplies. And so some of the most important shapes are the circle, like the circle in the sunflower head. And then the rectangle, like in a camera. Remember those before cell phones? They had those crazy cameras. And then a diamond shape. There's diamonds within this drum. Ovals in this avocado, and as well as an egg. Triangles, you can find triangles in everything if you just look. Look for those shapes. Squares. And remember, a book, a flag, all these simple things. Postcard, the shape. Dominoes, the shape. A snake, what shape that's in. Diamond shapes. So diamonds, rectangles, squares, circles. Those are all excellent things to look for in any picture, and you can find them. All you have to do is look very, very closely. And then when you start your picture, I took this picture in my backyard. Several years ago, my husband grew a whole garden of sunflowers. He surrounded our vegetable gardens with the sunflowers. And there were many, many different colors. Some of the colors were red, some had brown, some were golden, and the flowers are just awesome. And if you ever get a chance, you should grow sunflowers. They're fairly easy, but they need a lot of space and they do create a lot of shadows. So if you want to put them right around your vegetable garden, make sure they're not shading your garden because then it will stunt a little bit of the growth of your plants. So this picture is, as you see, the sunflower has all kinds of seeds in here. Look, if you look really carefully, you'll see a sunflower actually has 1,000+ seeds. Can you believe that? 1,000 seeds? What if you put those in an envelope and you drop them? Oh my goodness, 1,000 seeds, that's crazy. So Sunflower is also an annual plant. Now, annual is like your salary, an annual salary if you work, or it could be an annual, say, annual weekly event that you do. Going to the grocery store. Of course, if you're going to the grocery store nowadays, you got these things to wear. Make sure you wear them. They're extremely important. And then you also have this thing to put on. This was homemade by a special nurse for me, and I'm really grateful for her for making this. So the sunflower got its name because of how it faces the sun. It will actually turn its head to face the sun because the sun is beating down and forming the sunflower and making the seeds sprout. Actually, they just pop out, and the birds love the sunflower plants. If you're a bird person, plant sunflowers. They're very, very easy to plant and easy to care for. And guess what? This sunflower can grow up to 6 to 7 feet tall. That's amazing that a sunflower will grow that tall. And look at this broomstick. Look how thick that is. And that's the thickness of a stalk. It could be that thick. It's so sturdy. It takes a little hacksaw to cut them down at the end when they're all dried out. So grow sunflowers, plant those seeds, feed our birds, and take pictures too. Take pictures of your sunflowers. I took a picture of a sunflower and I put a paper plate. Oh, something just dropped. I put a paper plate up to its head, and the paper plate, the entire sunflower head was that big. A plain old paper plate. Amazing how they grow and how beautiful they are. So take a good picture of whatever you want to paint. Make sure it's crystal clear. If it's not clear, your picture won't be clear. So start with only the best. So, should we begin? And if you haven't gotten your materials, that's okay. This will be taped and it will be on my YouTube station. So go to YouTube and type in my name, Mary Boehme, B-O-E-H-M-E, Mary Boehme. And I always tell my students it rhymes with name, same, and old dame. But guess what? I'm not so old today because I'm coming live to you. It's amazing what we can do, you know, at our old age. And then at the end of this session, we're going to do the happy brush dance. So get your brushes ready to dance with me. Okay, well, let's get started. Put our aprons on and get our paints out. And I put them on a plain old paper plate because we don't need fancy tools, especially when there's so much going on with this crazy virus thing. All right. One of the things I love doing is I like being organized with my paints. I always put red, blue, and yellow opposite each other, and I put white in the middle. Now these are acrylic paints, and with acrylic paints, you have to be careful because you have to spray them continually with water. So make sure you have a little water container. I think this had hairspray in it at one point. Have a water container nearby to keep your paints nice and moist. All right, so on the color chart, my best friend, I say the color wheel is just marvelous, and you must buy one, you know, or download one. You can get it online real easily. Just download a color chart because sometimes we forget that we don't need all those colors that they have offered at different craft stores and different hobby shops. We only need 3 colors, and that's really all I ever use. I use an ultramarine blue, and I use a plain old yellow, like very light. I don't want it too dark because I can make it darker. And then I use blue, ultramarine blue. So grab your colors, your pencils, whatever. You're going to mix them right on the board. So let's start painting. We love painting. I love painting. It's my favorite thing to do, and the time just flies by. And I'm going to share some secrets with you, but I don't want you to tell anybody. I prepped my brush. I dipped it in water. And so I'm going to take the lightest yellow I have. I mixed the yellow with the white. And so I'm going to take it and thin it out a little bit, adding water. And as you can see right here, I've already outlined my flower, did my circle, did my oval-shaped petals. And you might not know this, and you probably do because you're pretty smart, is on a flower, with a flower, every petal has an opposite petal. So if you have one petal on one side, you go to the opposite side and there's another matching petal. Now in the sunflower, you see that the top of the flower, the petals are shorter because they're getting further away from your eyesight. And as you go down, the petals get longer and wider. So longer and wider. And you know that. You've just forgotten. Think of some telephone poles. If you look at telephone poles that are lined up in a row, they start out with really long ones that are close to you, and then as you get further away, they get shorter and shorter. Because that's just the way our vision is. That's the way it captures it. So I'm going to stick my brush in the water again because I've been talking too much. And then I'm going to go in, move in with my brush strokes. It's okay if it drips because we're going to be covering all that up. I'm going to try to do the shapes, you know, that I have outlined here in pencil. And I'm going to do everything yellow, light yellow, because in painting, you want layers, layers like a cake. You don't just eat one single layer of cake. You eat 2 or 3 or even 4 layers of cake. So let's go with layers. Light colors in the bottom and the base of the painting. And then as you get further down, those colors are going to start fading out a little bit. Once again, I'm going into the head of the sunflower. Add a little more water. And you can see that I'm starting on the outside, moving in, doing strokes that are kind of short and choppy. Earlier I did a children's session at 3 o'clock, and I used something very similar to crayons. They were oils, but they were pastel oils in a crayon form. So that was so relaxing. I had forgotten how relaxing it is to color. So get yourself a coloring book and do that while you're sitting down watching TV. Short, choppy strokes going out to the edges. All right. And then you can swirl a little of that paint around there if you want. You can even add some to the stem to give it some highlights. Don't forget about your highlights and your lowlights. Well, what creates the highlights? The sun creates highlights. Light will create highlights. And then shadows is the absence of highlights. The absence of light creates a shadow. The next thing I want to do is I'm going to go a little bit darker. I put darker color on my brush. And then towards the top of the flower on one side, I'm going to go darker to each little petal. And I'm going to try to curve it to give it that curving feel. You want the flower to not be flat. In order for you to do flat, you've got to do rounded strokes. Now as it goes further in, I'm not going to use such a bright color because that color will begin to fade. So I'm going to go to add a little bit more white and go to a lighter color towards the bottom. Darker on the top, lighter on the bottom. Take my brush, go in, go out, and do curvy little wavy lines. And you could even add just a touch of white in there because white's good, especially at the tips. We're going to tip this flower with white. Give it some white background. All right, and then I want to take some white and go in the center because I'm going to actually, in doing circular strokes, I'm going to have those highlights show through. Okay, it's like giving it a base coat. Like when you're painting a room, when you're painting a dark room, you have to give it a base coat because that dark color will bleed through. And believe me, that's happened to me a lot of times. I'm Hispanic and I paint everything dark and bright. And then when I change my mind, oh, it's so much work to do. But you know, I love it. I love painting. I can paint walls, I can paint trim, I can paint anything. Okay, now I'm going with a really dark, and I'm going to go up here at the top and just kind of make some choppy strokes going into my head where all those seeds belong. Looking at my picture as I'm doing this. Adding a little bit of white as I go down because that white is going to, the color is starting to fade, so I want to cover those lines up a little bit. And then we use our fingers all the time. Use your fingers when you're painting. Fingers for blending. Blend, blend, blend. That's my favorite thing to do, blending. All right, blend, blend. You can go outside the lines. You can just have little tips up there. Okay, now I'm going to show you a secret, but don't tell anybody. It's one of my favorite things to do. I take my pictures and I turn them upside down. Well, no, I am not crazy and I'm not standing on my head. The reason I do that is because you don't see the actual object. You're only seeing shapes like a good artist should. You're seeing those triangles, those circles, those squares. So take your painting and turn it upside down. Not your head. You don't want to get all wild and crazy. Looking for my tape. There it is right there. Whoop, I got to set this down for a second. Hope it doesn't fall. Grab my tape to tape my picture up here so you can get a better glimpse of it. Actually, I'm going to bring it to the camera a little bit closer so you get a better shot of that. And then, if you turn your picture upside down that you're painting, guess what else you have to turn upside down? Not you. You have to turn your image upside down. So here we go, right next to each other. Now I can look at my picture and I can see, oh, there's a lot of lightness in here. I didn't see that before. And these petals, there's real bright colors coming in this direction, right there. Let me get it closer to the camera and show you what I'm talking about. So see, you're getting a different perspective. I bet you didn't even see these little triangles, green triangles here coming out of the flower. And look, really close, look at the hair that's coming, the skinny little hair coming off the stem of that. Then always line the pictures up right next to each other if you can. Sometimes if you have it up here, you don't get the best perspective of it. I'm going to bring some of those colors in because now I can see that I needed to do a little bit more blending, which is a good thing for this flower. Okay, now let's get started on some of the bright colors. I love the bright colors. Grab my paints, come back, and I'm using a rounded brush because if you're painting round things, use a round brush. If you're painting square things, use a square brush. All right. I'm going to mix a little bit of this yellow, a little bit of red right next to it. Just take the tip. See how thick that paint is? Just take the tip. You don't have to go in there and do a lot because you don't want to ruin that red. You want to create a new color and not mess up this color here. So, ooh, look at that color. maybe add just a little bit more yellow to it. And you can see I'm doing it on the outside, adding more yellow. I'm looking towards an orangey color, adding, oh yes, it's starting to turn orange. Add a little bit more. And really, you're not supposed to mix with the brushes, but I'm kind of lazy, you know. I like to do things in a simple manner. All right, so now I'm going to add some of that color, but I don't want it to be so dark. So I'm going to take this and tap it down here on my paper towel. Tap, 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 get some of that paint off. And then I'm going to get closer with the brush. And so I'm going to go in here and add some of this color here. Oh, look at that color. Kind of like a melon color. Make sure you don't touch the wet paint like I did. Then I want to add some in here. And don't worry about the lines. They don't have to be perfect. You can just do tips. You can do insides of it. And then you can take it and blend it with your fingers. Blend, blend, blend. And it almost creates a watercolor. Like sometimes the painting looks like it's watercolored. And then this one, I'm going to get closer, put my hand down here, get a better grip of it. Same thing here. Going in. This paint came out a little bit. That's all right. There's no such thing as mistakes in art. You just add something to it and create something new. Now I'm going to go lighter, add a little bit of white because it's getting away from the sun. So go lighter. Ooh, beautiful colors, yes. And it doesn't have to be yellow, it can be pink, it can be blue, it can be whatever color you choose or decide. Do some tips and add some circular motions to bring that in. Wow. Gorgeous. If you're using markers, you can still blend with your fingers, but you have to blend very fast, and you have to make sure you don't put your fingers in your mouth. Okay, so more yellow on top of that, just to give it some more beautiful colors in here to cover up some of those colors and to add more depth to it at the top. Those colors are brighter at the top, and they start to thin out towards the bottom. Go in towards the circle. Just bring it in with your brush or your fingers, whatever you decide to use. And then I'm going to actually take this, and this is kind of crazy, but I just love having different colors. I'm going to take that and go along the stem with that brush. Okay, it's starting to take shape. Now my favorite part, and I've already created a brown. In order to create a brown out of the three primary colors, red, yellow, and blue, you just mix red, blue, and yellow. And you go heavy on the blue. And that creates a nice brown, and sometimes you can even get a nice color black in there. See that color? Gorgeous. Okay, well, I'm going to lighten this color because I don't want it that dark. Because remember, we're building colors. So I'm going to take the inside. I'm going to kind of go to the outline of my circle right there, and I'm just tapping. I'm taking the brush, turning it, moving my shoulder. That's why I stand when I paint, because you can get the whole shoulder in there. You're not just sitting at a desk. You're doing the whole thing. The whole body's getting in there. And then I put some white in there and blended it. And don't cover up every area. Bob Ross used to say you don't want to lose those beautiful, beautiful colors that you've already created. You want some of those colors to show through. And maybe a little bit darker brown, starting to darken it, going around my circle, tapping the brush, getting a little bit darker, Remember, I haven't done anything with this brush as far as cleaning it. And then I'm going to go really dark in the center to make the center just pop. And then I'm pushing the paint in with the thick, pushing the thick paint in with the brush. All right. Now if you want to brighten those colors up, I'm going to add some red to it. And I'm just going to push it along the edges. Tap, 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 tap. These are the seeds. Don't color up your medium colors. You want to just barely go over the top of it. See how that's starting to take shape? All right. Now I have some brown on my brush, and I want to add just a little bit of that. I'm going to tap it on my paper towel because I don't want that much paint on there. Pull some of that paint off, and then just kind of bring some of this in like this. Circular motions. Circular motions. I painted earlier this morning with my grandson. We did the crayons, actually it wasn't paint. And I had so much fun. It's so hard to not get with your family during this time, especially if they live out of state. So get on that iPad, get on that computer. Do Zoom. Zoom is a good program where you can get 10, 20, 30 people on there. We did that in my Bible class. Sunday, we had 63 people. Okay. Now, I do want to change my brush. Now this is a harder brush here. It's a bristle brush, and so for me to get some of those reds in there, because I'm a red fan, I'm just going to take the brush, turn it sideways like this, and then move in right here. Tap. All right. And the center is almost done. The only other thing I want to do is I want to add a black. And I couldn't come up with a really good deep black. So I'm going to use some black here that I bought. Put a drop, maybe. Didn't want to come out of there, but it's being stubborn, like a stubborn child. But I'm pretty persistent. So I'm going to put, come on out, come on, where are you? Okay, got to turn the lid, take the lid off. And this brush is fairly clean. And I don't normally do this. But since I don't have the black out, I'm just going to stick the brush in the black and pull out some color. And what this does is it does mess up the paint, but this paint is almost empty, so I didn't mind doing that because who cares? It's my paint, you know. When it's gone, it's gone. Now you can't see the little tiny, excuse me for a second while I wipe my nose. You can't see because it's so close. Is there are little tiny dots, dark dots, all the way throughout that head. Try not to cover up all your good stuff that you've already created. And then I want to take the dark, maybe add a little bit of blue to it, and then go once again to get a really strong circle. And while I have that, there are some shadows in here. Remember, you have to have shadows in a good picture if you want a good painting. And there's some shadows down here. There's some shadows that come in this direction. So I'm just going to paint in a few shadows. Blend that in with my hands. Blend it out, I should say. Blend, blend, blend. My favorite thing to do. And I want this color, this dark color I have, I want it, I like the color, but I'm going to thin it out because I want to come down here, almost paint it on my picture, don't want to do that. And go into the stem. Now the stem is green, as you can see, and it's a dark green right in here. And then you can add a lighter green on the other side. And remember, blue and yellow make green. Blend it in because you really don't see that. The stem, you don't see the edge of it. So we're just going to blend that in. All right. Are we having fun yet? Yay! Say yes. Yes. And don't forget to send me comments. And please do subscribe to my my YouTube page because that makes my page pop up better. The more subscribers I have, the better and easier it is to find me. All right. Highlights are white. Okay, I need to change brushes. I got too much paint on that brush. This is called a liner brush because it's used for signing your paintings. And there's some highlights. This kind of fades out a little bit down here, so I'm going to put that on top of the other colors. Blend it in. Same thing here. This fades out some. Take it, blend it in. This I want to separate. I want this on top. Blend it. Same thing here. Blend, blend, blend. I like that white that's right here on this tip. Blend, blend, blend. And it sort of outlines your sunflower as well. Maybe takes away some of the pencil marks, even though there's nothing wrong with the pencil marks. Many artists like you to see the pencil marks. This one here, take it, go at the bottom, and you can see the sunflower is starting to create depth. Okay, I'm very happy with this so far. This is my fourth sunflower that I've painted. All right, what do you think? Are you ready to turn it right side up? No, you don't have to do a headstand. Turning it right side up. And look at those gorgeous colors that are created within that sunflower. Beautiful colors. These are some other sunflowers I used with acrylics. Almost like I said, looks like it could be watercolors. And what do we want to do next? Well, I do believe that I want to do a little bit of blue in the sky because I want this to pop out of there. And I'm also going to add some pencil marks in here just to give it some more detail. Add some pencil. See what shapes I'm using. Every painting is so different and so much fun. My grandson Jet is going to be, I call him Jet Casso, because he loves painting. He has a little bitty easel. He's got all his brushes, and then we'll paint together. Our sunflower is taking some good shape. Remember I said I use my fingers, So I'm going to take my fingers and wipe them off because I don't want the paint on my fingers to get on this nice clean paint I want to create for the sky. So have paper towels nearby or rags, something that you can wipe your hands on quickly in case you spill paints, which is what I do sometimes. And I'm going to take my white and I'm going to stick my finger in the white paint. Make sure if you're a child, you get your parents' approval and you got an apron on like I do. Have an apron. All right, and then I'm just going to tap the blue up here. This is a light blue. So I'm going to tap it in there. Tap, tap, tap. Going in towards the flower. Tap, tap, tap. And I'm going to tap like crisscross. Whoops. Okay, let me set this down for a second and get some more stability on there. Now if you're going to frame this, you'll want to make sure you go all the way out to that part, all the way to the edges. Look how pretty that sky is creating very quickly. Bob Ross sky. Leaving some white in here so some of that shows. Tapping, sticking my finger again in the paint, just barely touching the blue, tapping it on my paper plate, going back in here. I'm going to move this tape right here, tapping into the picture. And it doesn't have to be the exact color of this sky here. This sky isn't this. The sky on the image is not as dark as my sky. But who cares? We don't care. I'm tapping some white down here because this is starting to lighten up right here. So I'm going to just tap white, plain old white on there. Stubborn child, taping it down. Trying not to spill my paints. Tap, 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 tap. And then while it's still wet, just put a little tiny bit of blue on there. Blend it in. Take more white. Tap, tap, tap. More white. Tap, tap, tap. Some of that brown kind of came off there, but that's all right. Who cares? It's your painting. You can do whatever you want with it. Tapping a little bit of blue, just a little, with my fingers. Then I'm going to add just a little bit of yellow and kind of greenish color down here, just because I can, and I like those colors. I like colors that just swirl because it looks like this. Looks like the wind is blowing. Now I'm starting to run out of white, so I'm trying not to get those dark, really dark colors in there. And then you can do crisscrosses, you can do wavy colors, anything to bring those colors out. All right, now you'll see that there's some light greens, some dark greens in here, and the stem definitely is a little bit darker. And the colors aren't exactly like, but who cares? It's your painting. So take some light green, and I do believe I need to add some more white. But this time I'm going to set the paints down because I'm not sticking my brush in this big old thing of white paint. Oh yes. And that's why you have little helpers. Bob Ross helper. And then just take a big old dab of white, put it in the center because that's where I keep my whites, in the center. So always try to keep them in the same spot. It helps you to stay focused. So now you can see my colors are starting to blend a little bit. Taking my white and blending it in here because I'm going to be covering that color up, but I want a white base. Move the tape just for a second, color up in there, cover it back up, set my paints down. Oh wow. There's great progress taking place. Looks like I've got a little bit of white in there, but who cares? And I'm going to add some white up here. I'm doing finger paints, folks. Finger paints. Blend some of those whites in there with my fingers. Adding a little more whites around these edges to bring some of those light colors out. Then go with the light green with my fingers. Add some more white to it and then just tap. Tap, 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 tap. Now it's starting to take place. Go with a little bit darker green on my finger. Tapping. These are leaves that are surrounding that. It's really dark in this area right here. So I'm going to tap in, kind of being a little bit careful. Then I'm going to blend all that in because you're not seeing this. This part of the picture is out of focus. So you don't even have to worry about it. Set my paints down, wipe my fingers off, stick them in my water to clean them even better. And then I'm going to take that and I'm going to blend it. I think I'm going to blend it with the brush. Grab a clean brush and blend. Blend those colors in. Look at those colors. Gorgeous. Gorgeous colors coming in. Blending in, taking my time because you know what? I hate it when a painting ends. I'm ready to start another one. Here's a shape right here, a triangle shape. You can't really see it there. Okay, we're almost finished, folks. What I want to do is the stem needs to go much darker with my green. So I got a good glob of green on there and I'm going to get closer, move my color chart, and just take it and drop the paint. Just drop it right straight down. Look at that stalk, how it created the stalk. All right. Take my paper towel and wipe it down just a little bit. Grab the edge there. Now the last thing I want to do is stand on my head. Nope, don't want to do that. Just kidding. I want to add some deeper yellows up at the top. I need some light, deeper yellow colors to get those highlights in there. I'm going to outline this in a deeper yellow. Yes. Oh, yeah. And then here, I want a deeper yellow. Going on top of those colors we already laid down. Making that beautiful, beautiful, whoops, got paint on my hand. Stay away from the wet paint. Right in here. There's a petal right there. We're going to make that a solid yellow. Then I'm going to add some colors here and more colors. You're building, building, building your colors. Just barely bringing that in here at the bottom because those colors should be faded out slightly. And what is the last thing we do as an artist? We always sign our work. So grab a pencil, a pen, whatever you have handy. I've got like a blue. I've got a brown pencil. Sign my name down here. M. Boehme. and then always date it. 4/6/20. All right, folks, what do you think? It is finished. This is about less than an hour in this painting. It created very quickly. The paint is still wet, so I'm going to try not to touch it. You can frame it, put it on your refrigerator. Do whatever you want to do with your masterpiece. Okay, I want to show you some of the earlier things we did at the 3 o'clock session. I did this one, used those crayons. They're called oil pastels. I call them crayons because I don't have crayons, but you can use that. So we have different shapes, different colors. We did it differently. Every painting will turn out differently. Yours will turn out differently from mine, and it will be fantastic. Make sure you have a spray bottle nearby to spray your paints. And I never waste paints. What I do is I take a piece of paper, a colored piece of paper, and I usually put the paints right on top, and then I smush it around, and it creates a nice, beautiful, colorful background for your next painting that you're going to be setting up. Later on this week, I want to do Easter things because we have, this is Good Friday coming up and Easter coming up on Sunday. So we're kind of thinking in those terms. So I want to finish our session with the Happy Brush Dance. And this song is by Bill Withers. Bill Withers did Lean on Me. And it's really, it's a happy, sad song because there are times when we need someone to lean on, especially during a crisis like what's happening today. You need that friend to lean on. You need that father, that mother, that brother, sister. Maybe you had a little tittle fight. Put that aside and give them a call because they need to hear from you and you need to give them a call and talk with them. Every night I try to call at least 2 people I haven't talked to in a while and say, hey, how are you doing? Go to those neighbors right now. And if you have extra things, take it to them. Take them, if you have an extra meal, take the extra meal to that person. They will be so very thankful for you. That's what we are to do. We are to help each other, to lean on each other. Before I close with the Happy Brush song, I do want to remind you that this is live streaming live on my YouTube channel. You just go to YouTube and type in Mary, M-A-R-Y, dash, Boehme, B-O-E-H-M-E. Remember, Boehme, name, and old dame. That's me, all right. Full of energy, but a little old, but that's all right. We're going to all get through this tough time together. So stick with it. Stick with painting. Stick with something. Puzzles are a good thing to be doing right now. And wash those hands. Wear those gloves. Wear that mask when you have to go out, please. All right, and if you have any comments, leave them for me on my website. My studio is called marytoart.com. And I have a Facebook page. If you would like to be part of that, just send me a message and type in my name and befriend me. And I will be happy to let you know what's going on in our studio. So are we ready? Let me get the music queued up and get ready. Get those brushes while I'm doing this. Go grab those big old fat brushes. Maybe you got a toothbrush. Maybe you've got some pencils in your hand. Maybe you have, who knows? Who knows what you have? Anything to dance with, okay? It's coming. It's coming, 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 coming. Come on. Come on, music. You can do it. Da, 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 da. I don't want to have to sing. Here we go. Play. It starts off really, really slow. And these are the words, so sing along with me. Sometimes in our lives, we all have pain, we all have sorrow. But if we are wise, we know that there's always tomorrow. Lean on me when you're not strong. I'll be your friend, I'll help you carry on. Sometimes in our lives, we all have pain, we all have sorrow, but if we are wise, we know that there's always tomorrow. Lean on me when you're not strong. I'll be your friend, I'll help you carry on, for it won't be long till I'm gonna need somebody to lean on. Swallow that pride. Find that person to lean on. Remember, if you're wise, you'll find that person. I'll be your friend. You be my friend. Now we're getting into it. Get off that couch. Jump up and dance with me, please. I don't want to dance by myself. We all need somebody to lean on me. Need somebody to lean on. We all need somebody to lean on. Sing with me, somebody to lean on. You understand? We all need somebody to lean on. Thank you for joining me. God's peace and God bless you and keep you safe. Bye now. See you tomorrow, 3 o'clock and 6 p.m. Central Time. Mary to Art Studios.